Get Valiant, episode 95.
The big
Welcome.
9-5.
Yeah, so close to 100. We say this every single time, but it's just weird. Um, but today is a special episode. We have a special guest.
Yeah,
Do you want to introduce yourself to the people?
sure. Yeah, I'm just following your cues. Hey, hi, Valiant listeners and readers. I'm Elliot Rahal, and I write Quantum and Woody right now,
Yeah. And also you write other things.
along with other fine comic book publications. Yes, yes. But specifically for your purposes, I write Quantum and Woody. No,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's great, but I've also read I got I think I've only read the first issue of Return to Whisper so far.
Oh, yes. That book is awesome. We had some production difficulties with it, but we are fortunately back on the rails, and we've got some exciting news with that. And we're gonna really we have a couple issues in the can that we're gonna release. So that's coming back. I
Yeah,
think,
that
I think my wife just got one second. Can you guys give me a second? My wife just got home. I have to just go.
oh,
Yeah,
not a problem.
one second, guys.
Not a problem.
Elliot's taking a timeout.
Yeah, timeouts are allowed.
So, Eric, while we're waiting, I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
And we probably don't have time to really go into solicitations this week on our episode. Maybe we'll talk about them next week. But in the solicitations, they talked about that Bloodshot Rising Spirits cover, the glass one. Do you think you're going to try and get one?
No. Why is this muting him? It muted Elliot.
No, no, I'm good. We're good.
Okay. Okay.
That's on my end. Whoops. Sorry about that. Okay, we're good.
No, not a problem. Not a problem.
Problem.
Um, so no, I just wanted to talk about some of the other stuff that you're doing because obviously we're going to talk about all the Valiant stuff and
Oh,
whatever.
yeah. Well,
But
yeah. Okay, yeah. So I'm doing this book called. I appreciate it. I don't know why I'm being so weird. I have this book called Cult Classic Return to Whisper. And we launched, in the new year, and we have issues 3 through 5 coming out soon. I don't know when, but that's a fun series, and I'm really excited to wrap it up. And then we get some other stuff planned, which is cool. And then I did the paybacks. I did this thing called the Doorman and Heavy Metal, which no one read. And then I did some one shots for Valiant, named Jack versus the Valiant Universe, and then I'm also doing Corbin Woody, and then I'm writing an aftershock book now called Hot Lunch Special, and and a bunch of regret and mistakes. That's my career.
I just read the first issue of Hot Lunch Special,
Yeah.
and it takes place in Minnesota
Yes.
mostly, but also specifically it takes place in Lesueur County.
LeSueur and Ely. Yes.
Yeah, that's just really crazy to me because I grew up in Lesueur.
Oh, really? That's fun.
Yeah.
I,
So,
I've discovered LeSueur through driving to comic book conventions in Sioux Falls and going through the Valley of the Jolly Green Giant, and there was this is a fun place to kind of learn about.
yeah, it's the worst place.
It's fun. It's funny. Yeah, I mean, but that's part of the reason I wanted to write that book is like home is a complicated thing.
Yeah. I will say, like, I never expected to read a comic book set in Lesueur County. So that was an interesting experience. So I wanted to thank you for that.
Well, yeah, I did it just for you.
Yes, well, I assumed. I mean, as soon as I read it, I knew that.
Sure. No,
That
I
was
mean,
what you were
well,
thinking.
that's based off of. But the thing is that like I, for my purposes, chose Minnesota because I really like. I'm not native here, but I do love living here, and it's where I'm hoping I can spend the rest of my life. I really just I do love it here. My wife is from Alexandria,
Okay.
um, but that kind of dichotomy, that small town reverence or like odd, strange settings or like places like that. That's inspired from like a feeling in my family. Like my entire family's from Ohio, and they talk about Ohio like it's Jerusalem or something. And they're like, bury me there. And it's a very like it's crazy. So like, it's taken kind of from that sort of relationship. I think it's fun.
Yeah. Hey, Elliot, I'm just curious. I read Hotline Special, the first issue, and I thought it was a great issue. Where'd you get the idea to do like a crime story involving like, a sandwich shop or a family that makes sandwiches? Like, where'd you get this idea from?
Yeah, I mean, I've always liked doing small world, um, like, well, strange world books. Like the Paybacks is, Donnie and I obviously did a book about superheroes who are going to debt. The Doorman is about like a really important, weird old job that somebody has for some reason. Like, and you know, it's just there are fun characters in there, and I was traveling on a road trip back from with my wife, and I saw these like vending machine sandwiches, and like it kind of kicked into this idea, and I'm like, man, I bet whoever makes these things is a fucking millionaire. And then I was like, oh man, can you imagine like that's how you're a millionaire? Is like you make these disgusting vending machine sandwiches. And like I grew up with this kid. Have you guys ever heard of Buttig Meats?
I
Anybody?
don't think I have.
Buttig Meats is fucking straight up cheap meat. It's like a government grade meat. Well, I mean, I'm being a little derisive, but it is cheap meat, and they would cop to it. It's like like one step above spam. And it's like that's how they made their money, and it's so funny. And then also like my family, we grew up in the food business too. So my entire family grew up in the food business, and my grandfather had a restaurant, and they all buy and sell fruit concentrate on the world market. Like so, it's like these weird things, weird little things. I think that stuff is so interesting.
Hmm. So,
Fair enough.
yeah, another question I have from looking at the issue, just because I had a physical copy of this, and I don't think like digital copies would have this kind of thing. It was something I thought that was kind of funny in the back in like your writer's bio. Are you really struggling with the idea of getting a tattoo?
Yeah, dude, for sure, I am. I am.
Get one.
No,
Do it.
my yeah, I will. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I told my wife, not that she's giving me permission, but I'm like I can do whatever the fuck I want to do. No. But I'm gonna when I get my first Marvel or DC gig, I'm gonna get a small tattoo. Like, and then I got like carried away, and I told my wife, back in my performance arts days, me and my friends we used to write a little slogan on our hand and it was the letters SCHF, which means stay cool, have fun. And then when I get nervous or I'm like at a show, at a convention show, like I'll like put my hands together like this as sort of like a defense mechanism, and like just like like not like in any spiritual way, just in a way of like I just need to like be doing something with my hands. So I thought it'd be fun to put "Stay Cool, Have Fun" on my thumbs, and then my wife told me that that was a very dumb idea. And you know what? She's right. She's right. I don't think I want to get tattoos on my thumbs. And then also the guy I know I'm going to get my tattoo from, he just like he's covered in tattoos because he runs the tattoo shop in where I'm going to go. He's covered in them. But he lasered off his knuckle tattoos recently. And he's like, never get finger tattoos. And I was like, okay, this man who's literally got tattoos on his face says don't get finger knuckle tattoos. So maybe I won't. Maybe I won't.
Fair enough.
Well, I'm sure you got plenty of other prime real estate. I thought that was a funny thing to put in your bio too. That was
I say fuck it. Just go right for the big neck tattoo, man.
Right?
Right in
Yeah. I
front.
mean, if you're gonna do it, right?
Yeah.
decapitated geisha head. I knew a guy that had that.
Nice.
Good times. So, I suppose we can talk about Quantum and Woody.
Yeah.
Actually got the issue, so that's cool.
Good.
Sometimes my shop doesn't order the stuff, so
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
You're in south of the state, right, Eric? Where are you?
yeah.
Where are you again? What was the town?
I always go to Mankato for comics.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
I live near New Ulm,
Okay. I got you.
but yeah, I always go to Mankato for comics, and they I'm one of like two people that actually buys Valiant comics from that shop. So
Yeah.
no, there's like four of us now,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a pretty small readership, so they don't always order everything because the other people that read it always read the like Exo Manowar and
Yeah.
Bloodshot and
Yeah. I
Moonjack.
mean, Quantum and Woody's not. Quantum and Woody, since I mean, listen, you grew up reading the '90s incarnate of Valiant. I've read a considerable amount back tense, but I've been reading most of the books since the relaunch in 2012, and like even at their height, like I mean, Valiant is still indie comics. It's still indie comics, and shops have got to sell what they think they can sell. And it's tough, but that's why I think there's been such a priority, especially in the last 2 3 years, to focus on developing these characters a little bit more. And I think they've done a fantastic job, especially with Exo Manowar, but with like Faith. Ninjak is super cool. I've been enjoying Shadow Man. I love Bloodshot. I mean, who doesn't love Bloodshot? And I'm really super excited for Livewire. And you know, as you know, I've said it before on Twitter. I mean, Quantum and Woody came my way as an opportunity, and I mean, you guys, I mean, may have heard of me before this, but like, I mean, I'm still relatively an unknown quantity, and I wanted to kind of take a risk with the direction or just do something with it. I mean, quite honestly, I didn't know what I wanted to do with it, but I just wanted to do something different, and that was what drove everything so far. Yes.
Well, I think that one of the things that I feel like because my I really love the Asmus run, right? And to me, that's kind of like
It's great.
that has been for a long time my kind of go to what I think of when I think of Quantum and Woody.
That
And
was
so,
Yeah, that was one of my first Valiant books I read all the way through. Like, when I was coming out, I loved that. And then when the Delinquents came out, yeah, it was amazing too.
yeah, that was, yeah, I know you and I had talked about that quite a bit, Elliot, at one of the conventions in the Twin
Uh,
Cities. Yeah, the Delinquents was awesome. The whole Asmus run was amazing. But yeah, so that's why I was really excited because I love that series so much when they announced, Daniel Kibblesmith doing it. And I thought he told us what the goat gave birth to, which was cool, and then gave us Woody meeting his father. But what I've really enjoyed, and we talked about this on the previous episodes, is I feel like there are two things that make Quantum and Woody what they are, and that's their humor and then the fact that they're brothers and they have all this like family dynamic between them. And I
yeah,
think that like you need those two things. And I think that you've got both of those things in the book, but I really like how you focus on the brother aspect between them. I thought that was like your first issue on the book. I thought handled that perfectly.
Well, I mean, Quantum and Woody is, that was the angle I had to go with in order to make an effective book. Because there are other angles to Quantum and Woody. Their humor, yes, they're brothers, but also, the most important reason why it was made was the race issue. And like I am not the writer to write that story. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Sure.
And like, but I am capable of writing a Quantum and Woody story told through the lens of like brotherhood and fraternity and stuff like that. That is something. I've got 3 brothers, so like, I mean, I'm fully, engrossed in that. Hopefully, you guys like the last issue.
Yeah, it was a good issue.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So this is like a kaiju story. I mean, spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't read it yet, but that was basically what I got out of it.
Is it? Question mark. We'll find out.
Well, on the surface, at least right now, it is.
On the surface, it is. Yes, I love kaiju's. I think they're so much fun. But there's this character that's been appearing in the pages that's been kind of strange. And he doesn't have a face, and like that's the real sort of enemy, I guess, or that's going to be the main problem, eventually. But it's going to be fun to see how that handles out. I think Joe's design of him was spectacular. I loved it so much. It reminds me of like what if like the Invisible Man, like H.G. Wells's The Invisible Man was also like Hunter S. Thompson. I love it so much.
One thing I've kind of noticed with the book is that you've made Woody kind of like the straight man in the book instead of like the comic relief of it. It seems like a lot of times when people approach these characters, Woody is just so out of control. He's the one kind of yucking it up, and his brother's always having to clean up his mess. But it seems like the roles have really reversed with your run. Like, was that one of the main things you wanted going into this? Was just like a kind of a dramatic, different take on Woody itself, and like the whole like brotherhood dynamic?
No. I mean, if that's the result of it, then that's the result of it. That's not for me to say. But like, to me, the only thing I wanted to do is that I just think Quantum and Woody oftentimes get put into a box. And they can like you just said, like Woody can only be a certain thing, and Quantum is often portrayed as a certain thing. And then that's antithetical to the very conceit of the characters from Christopher Priest, I think. And then also, like, why? Like, it doesn't, like, that's not how people are. Like, in real life, like a duo like that, like, could you imagine if you lived your life, like, always being the sidekick or always having this sort of persona-based relationship? You would go insane. Like, so, like, I think, just allowing them both to have like serious and funny moments. Like, what are they? How is Woody funny? How is his humor different than Quantum's? And what does he find funny versus what does Quantum find funny? When are they both serious? What does one flip out over more? Like, those are explore the characters as individuals a little bit more, and then their common bond, as brothers and all that other shit. I just said a bunch of stuff, and I want you to think about it as I go to the restroom. Is that okay?
We'll stew on it.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're good, man.
Oh. So I don't know how much we're going to talk about because we got Britannia and Shadow Man that came out this week.
Yeah. I think if we don't end up doing the review, I mean, it just depends upon how long Elliot wants to be on, and whatever works for him. If we don't have time, I think that's okay. Next week we could do reviews and talk about stuff.
Sure. We got a couple of questions that Sean was asking, and if
Oh,
anybody else has questions, we can ask Elliot that I was going to get to. Um,
well, we
well, I
like
guess it's
Sean's
one.
questions too.
I guess it's technically one question
Oh,
that he
okay.
has to ask, but um, no, I think I don't know. Oh, I wanted to point out, and I can actually point it out now. My personal favorite moment, I think, of this entire issue is where is that at?
Can I just guess what it is before you show me?
What is it?
When Woody comes running in with his goat.
Okay,
No.
guys.
No?
Okay.
Yeah.
No. My
So,
personal my personal favorite moment of this issue
uh-huh.
is when that no face guy yells pizza anytime.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? It's fun.
That was the best. That was the best moment of the whole thing. Like this is a good issue, like all around.
Yeah.
Like the whole issue is good, but I just thought that's such a perfect Quantum and Woody thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that's perfect. It was I thought that was
Well, I'm
hilarious.
trying to make, I told, people on Twitter, not that everyone follows me or whatever, you know, I'm trying to make, issues 8 through 12 more humorous or not like, I mean, not the type of humor that Daniel was, because Daniel's just so fucking funny, but like, do it the way I can do it. And like, that is a concern of mine. I want to make sure it's funny.
I think it is. I think that you've got a good um, balance, is what I wanted to say. But I do think that you've taken a slightly more serious approach than like Asmus did. There's a lot of goofiness and zaniness in that. So I think that you do have a more serious approach compared to other stuff that I've read, but I don't think that it comes off as being like, oh, now this is a super serious take on the characters. It
Yeah.
still feels like them.
But I thought, just to interject myself for a moment, reading issue 6, the first issue that tied in with Harbinger Wars 2, I thought it was actually really interesting how the issue is the characters are stripped a little bit of their humor, but it came off as a really like interesting story with them. Like the way that Quam and Woody are almost like they're not at all at each other's throats. They're just there to kind of be heroic, and you don't really get that take very often. And
They are superheroes, aren't they?
yeah,
I mean, they're the world's worst superheroes, but they are superheroes.
but I thought like in that issue, they don't live up to that moniker, like the world's worst. Like
I
they come
agree.
off like really genuine.
Yeah, for sure. But okay, so one of the questions that we have, or the main question we have in the live chat is in the current arc, they're not clanging. Are we gonna get some kind of like even pseudoscientific answer to like why they're like why it's different now?
It's all coming. It's all coming. I mean, the answer is yes. I'm not going to tell you how it's delivered. The answer is yes, or at least I hope it's yes. Like
It's a version of yes.
yeah. I mean, I hope what I wrote made sense to you, to your reader in the future. That's upon you to decide. But I believe I did that. So who's to say? But something I've been trying to do, with especially in the last two issues, because so much happened, I think, in issues 6 and 7, and 8. Yeah, so especially to just slow things out and reestablish what this new normal is, so that when those explanations come, the lines to them are hopefully pretty clear. But you never know. I mean,
Sure.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I think we're all looking forward to see how it goes. One of my biggest questions, I guess, was reading the solicit for number 12, um, which still pretty bummed that it's a finale, but
We all knew that was going to happen.
I, we hoped that it would last longer than 12.
Come on, you know when Daniel signed down to do his miniseries, and I think when I signed on, like the tradition of comics is let's ramp this thing up. I think that's I think we all knew that was going to happen. I'm just so pleased with the fact that they decided to give me an additional 4 issues because I think there was some dispute about that. I think maybe they wanted to end it with Harbinger Wars and call it that. But it just so happened it worked out my way. So
Honestly, like I was worried that that would happen, that it would just do the issues 7 and 8, and then that would be all you would be doing on it. So I was really happy that you got, like you said, another 4 issues. Obviously, I would love for there to be more, but okay. So the solicit for the issue talks about them uh, auditioning for a potential new Unity team.
yes,
So that's everything.
I mean, listen, I'm not super current. I'm about a month behind on all my Valiant books because I haven't been able to do anything but work, which is great, but super great. But like, the Valiant universe is in a bit of disarray right now. Harbinger Wars 2 is crazy. Livewire's out. Temperature's starting to feel like things are a little out of control. There's trouble going on. This whole run from Christos on Ninja K, like he's been having so many issues with MI6. God, this is my fucking job is talking about this shit. But just um, you know, like so, it makes sense that they would look at forming Unity again. Especially with everything that's been going on as sort of a counterbalance measure, I guess, to the Harbinger Wars 2 and the fallout of it. I am not privy to this knowledge. I hope you understand. This is me. This is my interpretation of what's occurring and what I have to do because not all of these decisions are being made by me. Like a lot of it's editorial, and Valiant is very well known for like a closed off editorial where it's like this sort of like just like mafiosos. It's like very I don't know how to explain it. It's fun, but it's just like it's very fun. I love it. Working with him has been, especially Carl. Carl has been an incredible guy to work with, and I've definitely tested everyone's patience. But yeah, I mean, I forgot what I was saying, but I think you understand.
That's fair. Is there?
Oh yes, but Unity. I mean, why not? Why not try them out for Unity? That's it. I mean, like, so if there is a Unity forming, the thing is like, well, at the end of this arc, they will have just done something that warrants them getting, some attention for once. Like
Sure.
what's happening right now in this arc kind of brings Quantum and Woody more into the main out of the periphery of the Valiant universe. Like because they've always been odd. Like unless they're dealing with Archer and Armstrong, like they in some Unity stuff, but really like there's sort of an odd man out in
Sure.
comparison to the other heroes. So like bringing them in a little bit more and tying them more with continuity is what we're doing.
I'm a fan of that. I think that that's definitely the way that Quantum and Woody get viewed. I don't know if you heard when we had um, the Shonkies and some of the cast members from Ninjak versus the Valiant Universe. They were talking about how they originally wanted to have and I don't know if they told you about this. I guess you may, since you wrote the comic, you may already know. But they were talking about having Quantum and Woody at the like in the post credits of every episode, like, oh, look at what's going on. They're going to call us. We're definitely going to get the call, and then
We're
they
waiting
don't.
for the call. Wait by the phone for the phone call.
Yeah. So that was going to be in the series, and they actually had Quantum and Woody cast and everything, I guess, but it
Really
did
funny.
just didn't come to fruition. But yeah, I mean, we just want to know, like, it really sucks that Quantum and Woody is ending. I think that pretty much everybody has really enjoyed what you've done with the characters so far,
Yeah,
as far as I've seen.
the response from most Valiant fans has been pretty positive, and pretty supportive, which has been, very nice. So thank you for that, everyone who's done that.
Yeah. Well, now we just want to know if we can expect you to stick around in the Valiant universe.
We're gonna find out, folks. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I give up, man. I mean, listen, I love working with those people. I love these characters. There's a few characters I've had my eye on, but you know, Valiant is a very much they come to you kind of place, and like, I think we're gonna wait and see how the rest of the series does. Like, if I were them, that's what I would do. But who knows, man? I don't fucking know. Like, I don't know.
Damn.
Like, I don't know. I try to. I'm always. I'm not. It's not like I don't think about it all the time. But what's good right now is that things are slowing down. Like, I've done a lot of the hard lifting, and Quantum and Woody is done. I mean, like I said, from later passes, it's done. And then, I also had competing deadlines that were starting to make me sweat a little bit, along with some other activities. So, like, regardless, I'm just going to use this maybe an opportunity before they decide to do anything more with me as a chance to slow down and also get ahead of my other work. So I'll just, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna go to the Minnesota State Fair. I'm gonna enjoy myself for a little bit.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Well, I think that we would like to see you stick around.
I'd love to.
Yeah. Um,
I got a
yeah.
question real quick.
Yes.
And I'm just curious about this, so shifting gears a little bit onto like Ninjak versus the Valiant Universe. They approach the series with like, the Shanties wrote the story. Is it kind of hard to go into a project where everything's kind of written and just adapt it into like
Yes.
a comic book format?
Yes. Yes. The answer, the answer to that question is yes. It was very difficult. Um, it was difficult in the sense that, like, you, you're trying to give somebody something that they want in their head. And, like, you don't really have the opportunity to get in there, and like improvise. I'm not saying make it better or make it whatever, but I'm just saying get in there and improvise. I mean, improvising in comics, you have your outline. Obviously, outlines are great. Like, they're very helpful tools, but like, when you're getting in there and like you find shortcuts that could be cooler to read in your brain, like, or whatever, or something. I don't know. It's hard to get in there. So I did my best with it. I think it turned out pretty cool. I mean, the benefit of the story is that it's a lot of fun anyway. It's just fucking Ninjak is Rambo, like, or no, Ninjak is John McClane. Like, it's just Ninjak's having a bad day, like, and that's always a fun thing to write, So it's like, thank God you have something fun and Looney Tunes to kind of wrap it all up with. But yeah, like, it is difficult because, like, I have my way that I write comics, and they have their way that they want to see a comic, and there's already a vision for it. And it's like, what am I doing here? You know what I mean? Like that's my biggest problem. Like with that story is like I enjoyed doing it. It was an excellent opportunity. I had fun with it, and also it taught me a lot too. But oftentimes with a situation like that, I'm like, so what am I doing here again? Like I kind of feel like I'm like, I felt like extra weight. You know what I mean? I'm like, why do you need me? I don't like you made this thing already. You don't need me at all. Like like that's how I felt. Like it was like this sort of like I felt like an awkward like third wheel or something like that. You know what I mean? But it worked out, so it was fine.
Yeah, I think it worked out. Um, what else do you have coming up? I know you were talking about um, Return to Whisper having some issues coming out. Obviously, like we were talking about, you've got some other books going on right now. Do you have anything new starting up, or what are the big things that people should be watching for?
Yeah, just hot lunch special, and then Return to Whisper, and then we got some exciting things coming, but we're not going to probably hear about those for a while. But that's okay. And then it was announced it's going to be in the Starburns Industries new comic anthology. So that's on Kickstarter right now. If you guys want to donate to that, that's a cool thing. That was a weird project to be asked to do, but I like Starburns a lot, so I said yes.
Right on. Well, we'll have to get a link for that. Um, do you have any other past work that is out there that people should go pick up? What's
Yeah, and
Sean's asking, what's your favorite thing that you've done?
Hot Lunch Special right now is my favorite thing, but this new thing got I think approved today, and I think that's going to be my favorite thing, which will be fun. But we're going to find out. Um, but the volumes 1 and 2 of the paybacks have been collected in full and are now available in trade paperback form through Dark Horse. So if you're a fan of the paybacks, you can get the entire series because before you could only get the last 4 issues through Heavy Metal, which had its problems. So that's
Sure.
that.
Okay. Well, I want to really thank you for coming on. I know we haven't had you on since I talked to you for, I think it was Bloodshot's Day Off when you did that one.
Maybe I don't know, man. Time doesn't mean anything to me anymore. So,
Fair.
but yeah, for sure, yeah. And then I saw you in person not too long ago, or it felt not too long ago, maybe a couple months ago.
It was this year for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But no, I really appreciate you coming on. Anytime that you've got Valiant or even non-Valiant related stuff, you're welcome to come
Yeah.
hang out.
And I have noticed you guys' support, and that's been very cool and helpful. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We're definitely fans of your work and we'll be happy to continue supporting. We definitely hope that, at least I know I do, that you're going to have future work with Valiant. But yeah, one of the nice things about the Valiant fan community is we tend to continue supporting people who work with Valiant as they move on to other
Yeah,
things.
and I've noticed that's been special. So that's cool. But yeah, we're gonna find out, man. I'm 30 now, and like I'm done figuring shit out. Just like all I know is I'm just gonna do my best, and that's all you can do.
True story.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I might work tonight. I don't know. We're gonna find out. It's fine.
Fair enough.
Yeah. It's been a nice evening. Thanks for letting me chat and say a little bit about Quantum and Woody. Are you guys going to be at New York Comic Con? Anybody at New York Comic Con?
I wish I will not be.
No.
No, it's okay. Well, fuck.
Well, anybody that is though,
You gonna SuperCon, Eric?
oh, I have no idea.
Yeah, maybe you could might swing that, but whatever. All right, whatever, guys. Sorry, I don't know how to leave the conversation. I'm sorry.
You're becoming a true Minnesotan. We don't know how to do
Yeah,
that.
great.
Thanks again for coming on. Hopefully, we'll see you again soon.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye. Uh, yeah, that's awesome that Elliot came on.
Yeah,
We have a bit of time if you do want to talk about the other books.
okay. Yeah, we can do it real quick. We don't have to. We don't have to go through them like so detailed like we did last week on our one book we had.
Yeah.
All right. What do you
Well,
want to
I
start
do
with?
want to say though, and it's hard to like try to review a book with the author on. So now that Elliot's gone, I feel like I can like have a little bit more credibility if I say something nice about Quantum and Woody, because I don't want it to seem like I'm just like, you know, trying to be
Oh,
nice to
I
him.
get what you're saying with that. I think that is a little bit hard because then you feel like you're not trying to pander, but it feels like you're pandering to like a
Yeah,
right.
well, I don't want it to look like I'm just like, oh, since Elliot's here, I'm going to say nice things.
Yeah.
Um, but I did
But that'd
really
be kind
enjoy
of
this
fucked up if
issue.
you had him on the podcast. You're just like railed on the guy the whole time. Like you know, we brought you on here because we hate your shit. You know.
Yeah, I wouldn't if it was bad, I wouldn't be saying like, oh, this is a great book. You know what I
Oh
mean? It is a good book though, and I have enjoyed it. And I am genuinely bummed. And I know like Elliot was saying like, oh, we all knew it was going to happen. We all knew this book was going to end. I don't know. I mean, maybe he felt that way, but I was hoping that I was holding out hope it was going to keep going.
I don't know if I thought it would get canceled at 12. Like I feel like Valiant. If you make it to 25, you make it to 25. That's kind of like a magic number with a lot of their titles. But like, um, I didn't sit there and see that like, oh, it's obviously gone. There was a rumor from someone um, I had read on Twitter where they're like, it's gonna, someone who had been at San Diego Comic Con who was like, oh, I heard it's gonna get canceled at 12, and I guess they were right. But I don't know.
That's a
It's
bummer.
I like the take. I like the take on the characters. I've liked Kibblesmiths. I just think that it had like a weird flow to it. I just think. I mean, I've said before. I think if you take out the third issue, put it in a different order, it's a better story. But enough of that. We can go into the latest issue.
No, I thought that this issue and Ellie was saying it's maybe not really a kaiju story, but it's basically a kaiju story. Like I thought that was fun. Like there's obviously a lot more to the beginning of the issue, but by the end, that's essentially what it becomes.
Yeah, it's really like interesting to me like what the story is because like I was saying like I just feel like so much of it rides on Woody where he's like the voice of reason. He's the guy he's letting it all out. He's laying out his feelings on everything. He's the only one that really kind of knows. Eric, I guess, to an extent, but everybody knows that like they're like in a different. There's something different going on, and Woody's that voice, which I just think is a really interesting take because everybody makes him the slapstick, the joke of every issue. Quantum is the guy that just has to deal with his shit the whole time. I like this take on it where it's just like everybody does that take. Every single fucking Quantum and Woody story is Woody's a fuck up and Quantum has to clean up the mess. I like where this one is, where it's just something different, and Woody isn't just like some idiotic guy. Like he's a lot smarter than you would give him credit for, just because of what the take is on him.
Well, and I think what's nice about that is it doesn't feel like it's forced to be that. And when you mentioned that to Elliot, he seemed to kind of like, yeah, that's if that's the result, then fine. But it didn't sound like that was like his intention. You know what I mean? So it,
And
it
probably
feels
not.
organic, is what I'm trying to say. It doesn't
Yeah,
feel forced.
I just think sometimes you can look at a lot of the stories from previous writers, and I mean, unless you really knew like who wrote it, you could probably put those books in front of anyone. They'd all seem relatively the same. I just think this is something that just seems like a little bit more thought has been put into it as far as how the characters' motivations are. Also, whoever this mysterious guy with no facial features is, I think it's a cool design. I think Joe Eisma like really did knock it out of the park on that one, and Knowing now that he's like the big main villain of sorts, I'm really curious to see like what's going to happen with him.
Oh, I
Uh,
figured he was the main villain the whole time.
well, I knew he was going to be something that would just pop up and be a foil, but like we haven't seen him do anything yet, really. You know?
Yeah, we don't know anything about him, but he's kind of been involved with everything that's been going on a little bit. And
Yeah.
he did have that really awesome moment in this issue when he said pizza anytime.
My favorite part of this was when Woody runs to his psych and he's like, you got to help me with my goat. Like I thought that was just a really like funny moment within the book.
Where was he? I don't remember.
It was after the water started flooding and Woody has to go rescue Vincent. And he
Sure.
goes to the psychiatrist. He's like, "Here, can you please help me with my goat?" I'm
Oh
paraphrasing. I
yeah.
don't know exactly what was said, but I thought that was just a really like humorous moment. It felt like a very classical Woody moment. I guess.
Oh, he busts in the door and says, "Doc Cooper, I need you to take care of my goat while I go save the world."
That's what it was. I thought that was awesome.
That is a pretty amazing moment. That
Yeah.
is a
Um. Yeah.
he
I'm really liking this. You know, it's
yeah.
just very
To me,
fun.
this
I Go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say this issue to me is like this book has been so solid since Elliot came onto it. That's been my opinion the whole time since we read his first issue. This to me is a 4.5 out of 5. This is a really, really strong issue.
Yeah, I'm gonna go just a hair lower, 4.25. You know, I'm a fan of the characters. It bums me out to the in this way though, with it getting canceled, is that you know this is another chance that Valiant has had trying to do something with these characters. You know, and this is the second time they've had an ongoing that's ended at 12 issues. It makes me feel like I don't know if it's like the fan base not embracing these characters. I know that these are characters that people do kind of complain about here and there, but people have been generally really nice though about like Elliot's run and Daniel's run prior to that. But it kind of makes you feel like are these characters that can't be an ongoing? Like are these characters that should just be relegated to like a divinity or a savage status, Britannia, for instance, where it's like
See,
give us 4 issues next year, give us 4 issues.
see, the thing to me what these characters need is what Elliot was saying. He was talking about how, with his issue 12, he's, imagining, what if there's a new unity, because of everything going on in Harbinger Wars 2. And if there was, with what Quantum and Woody are doing, they would get noticed. I mean, we saw Capshaw in this issue 9.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that what's going on is getting them noticed. And they're if that kind of brings them out from the shadows and into the limelight, and so that they become more known, because I think that's the biggest problem with the characters. Valiant is, like Ellie pointed out, Valiant is still indie comics. It's not like, a massive publisher like DC or Marvel.
Yeah.
So even the smallest characters who get a DC comic still are a DC comic, and they have a very big built-in audience because stores are willing to carry a book that says DC on
Oh
it.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Whereas with Valiant, as it's still an indie company, when you have the books that work for them are mostly just the characters they push as their A-listers. And when you have B and C list characters from a B or C list comic publisher, that's the ones that get easily overlooked, no matter how good the writing or art is, or how interesting the characters are, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh
So I
yeah.
think that's the trouble. And if Quantum and Woody do have an opportunity to become, you know, more central to the Valiant universe, then I think more people will know about them, more people will enjoy the characters, and more people will want to read a Quantum and Woody book.
Oh, I agree with that.
So I don't know. That's my whole thought on it. But like I was saying, there are two other books that we can chat about real quick. We got issue number 2 of Britannia: Lost Eagles of Rome. I don't really have a whole lot to say about this issue, and I don't mean that necessarily in a bad way. I just felt like this issue is one of those number twos where all the fun setup was done in the first one, and all the action is coming in issues 3 and 4. So this one is kind of like putting the pieces in the right place. You know what I mean? This is like a issue to kind of, you know, set the playing field for what's to come through the rest of the story.
So like I totally agree with that because like for me, I love Britannia. Britannia is one of my favorite things that Valiant does, which is awesome because it's one of the newer properties that they have. But this issue did a lot of the story. It did a little bit of the heavy work as far as like where the story's going. Um, Antonius and Aquilia, they go to Egypt. They have to talk to someone. They have to talk to this general whose armies have been decimated by the Germans. Um, but there just wasn't a whole lot to it story wise, though. One thing
Nero
that,
wants to kill them because he's psycho.
yeah, he's just like they're not going where I told them to go. I'm sending assassins after them. And then they did end up finding some Romans there, and this is what I was going to say real quick was that even though like this would be a better issue, I think served under like Juan Jose Reap because it was an issue that did have a little bit of blood to it. You know, like I think like Achilles stabbed someone in the head. There's people getting
There were
slayed.
some decapitations.
Yeah, but I didn't think that Robert Gill's work was bad on this, you know, and I think that
No.
like it's going to be a little bit unfair of me to sit there and be like, well, he's not Juan Jose Reap because I love Reap's work so much, but I think that like Robert Gill is doing some work on this, you know. It's still a really fine issue. I mean, I think that you have to have those moments within a book where the story has to get pushed. You got to do a lot more than either like the narrative work, or you have to do like you have to introduce the characters, you have to introduce like the settings and the plot and things like that. That's fine, but like it was a bit slow, you know, as far as that goes. But like still a fine issue. I wouldn't grade this one as high as I would previous issues. I'd probably go about a 4.25 on this just because like I did like it a lot. I love Britannia. But for a Britannia issue, it was a little bit like, it could have used a little bit more going on. But it
So
still
I
was fun.
love the art in this issue. That to me is the most exciting thing going on. Sean
Yeah.
pointed out that one thing that did happen in this issue is Antonius and Aquilia kind of came to the agreement that when she's free, they're going to have a relationship.
Yeah, I thought
Um,
that was really interesting how it kind of transpired too, because like he like Antonius is like he's trying to like fight the feeling a little bit, you know, it seems like. And then I thought that the way that it just kind of came out was rather like unexpected to me, like where she just like was like talking about it, it just came
she just
out.
laid it all on the table, man.
Yeah. I was like, man, that's assertive.
No, Robert Gill is a great artist. I do really like his style. I think um, he's one of the like more consistent guys. Um, Not that Valiant has a lot of bad or inconsistent artists because they really don't, but I
No.
just feel like Robert Gill, like you know what you're gonna get from him. Like some people like they change their style a little bit here and there, and I think that he's super consistent. I think he's just a really solid artist, and I do think the pages look really good with him.
I think his art has grown a little bit, you know, like I think he has some cooler page layouts when he did EXO toward the end of Venditti's run. But I think like his style, like got a great looking style, you know. Like I wouldn't be surprised if that's a guy that ends up getting picked up, you know, for like a bigger book somewhere else, you know, just because I do think he's
Sure.
got a really consistent look to what he does. He does action really well. I would have been a little bit curious about how like a book like this would have been handled, say like with like a little bit more like vibrant color to it too. I think that um like if you get like Juan Jose Reap, Jordi Belair tends to color him. Her colors with his work are a little bit brighter, a little bit more vibrant, but you know, it was still a fine issue.
Yeah, I
And
didn't have any issue with the colors. To me though, like the art was the highlight of this book, and I felt like while a couple of things did happen and the plot advanced, it felt like that was most of what was going on.
yeah,
Um, And so for me, I'm actually quite a bit lower than you are on this issue. I'm in like a 3.5. I think the highest I could go is 3.75. And that's, not because it's bad in any way, but it's just not a book that like I wasn't super excited about this issue, but because this issue got a lot of the grunt work out of the way, I do think that there is a lot of reason to expect good stuff coming from issues 3 and 4.
oh yeah,
So
hopefully,
even though I enjoyed this issue less than I hoped I would, I don't feel like that's cause for concern for the rest of the
no.
series.
Whereas I'm more of a fanatic with it, and I'm just like, give me more. Just I love it.
Everything's good. Um, So I thought that now moving. Oh, Sean said that he was at Robert Gill was at Marvel for a bit while he was not doing Valiant stuff. So yeah, he's getting out
I don't
there.
I don't follow enough of that.
Yeah,
I only follow a couple of books there, so it's like I don't know. But anyway, Shadow
out of the
Man.
loop. But yeah, Shadow Man. This is issue number 6. This series has been absolutely phenomenal. Um, and this issue, I thought, was the last issue of this whole falling through time thing. There's obviously going to be one more. So I'm kind of surprised about that, but I'm not really complaining because I've really liked this. And I also really like that what this is giving us is the beginning of where the Shadow Man stuff happened and why there is a Loa and a Shadow Man.
Yeah, I love this issue, man, and we always gush over Shadow Man lately, under Andy Diggle's writing. I thought that the beginning of this book, where it was like Jack's funeral, and then all the parties that kind of get involved in this, I thought it was awesome. I loved the Dr. Mirage appearance, and the things that I liked about that are kind of what I like about just like Valiant in general. I thought they did a good job kind of explaining like the current time of what was going on, and then we got someone brought in from like a bigger part of the universe. Normally we see like Punk Mambo. It feels like like in a situation like this. Instead we got Doctor Mirage, so like it brought someone else from the universe into the book. I love that, man. Like I feel like that's what Christos Gage is doing so well with Ninja K right now. As he drops these little pieces in there that remind you like, hey, there's other characters in this universe, and this is how they can work within the confines of this book. I thought that Dr. Mirage appearance was awesome. I love the stuff where it was basically the beginning of the entire mythos of Shadow Man, and I kept thinking it would wrap up at the end of the issue, but it didn't. And I don't pay too much attention sometimes to the solicitations on the books just so I can try to not be spoiled. But I thought it was awesome. It was cool that the bad guy of the book has a Loa, and basically the person who is going to be the first Shadow Man, he has nothing at the moment.
Yeah.
So I thought there's it's a really cool dynamic to the book. Shadow Man's been great the whole time. I
What
think
I really hope from this is that Jack learns some valuable lessons and comes back to the present and is the Shadow Man that he can be instead of being the Shadow Man that I don't give a
yeah.
shit about.
You know what I want honestly? Like I want Shadow Man to come back and just be like a badass motherfucker, really. Like it's gonna
Yeah,
sound weird in that way, but like think about like how Venditti's EXO was. Like he went through like trial and tribulation. Halfway through that series, he is a force to be reckoned with.
yeah,
Jeff Lemire's Bloodshot. Let's not talk about Salvation, but like if you look at like what he did with like Reborn, I mean he is a fucking terrifying character, man. Like, and I love those times when the characters you see them at a vulnerable moment and they rise into like something just really formidable. And that's what I'm really hoping is here. Like, I don't want to. I'm hoping that we're not going to just read a bunch of stories where like Jack gets his ass kicked, and then at the very end,
right,
like eats it out. Like, I want to see like Jack like use like his power to the full ability and kind of like lay waste to someone. Like, not like in like that kind of way where it sounds like so destructive, but like I just want to see like some like him not be like so vulnerable and weak because I
right.
feel like
Yeah, I mean, basically the way I look at it is with the Valiant, Jeff Lemire kind of broke Bloodshot down to the point where he essentially wasn't Bloodshot anymore, and then built him back up all the way through Reborn, right? And that's why Reborn is such an apt title for that. And if we can get that from the Shadow Man book, where we've kind of gotten Jack broken down with the whole Magpie thing, and now he's kind of clawing his way back to what he could be, and this is what he's going through right now. Hopefully, is showing him what he could be so that he can come out the other side of it the badass that we want him to be. Um, I'm hoping that's where it's going, or possibly, as long as it goes somewhere where the book is good, I'm fine with it, but hopefully that's where it goes.
yeah.
Um,
I'm not worried about that because I think right now the book is good. So like I think like
right,
just keep giving me good, but like just give me that Jack. Give me that Shadow Man, because I feel like that's what the character needs to be a little bit, Like these main Valiant characters, I want to use the word iconic because it is a character that goes so far back in the whole history of Valiant. They need to be powerful. Like Exo needs to be powerful. Bloodshot needs to be powerful. Shadow Man to me needs to be powerful because he's the main guy when it comes to like the occult and the paranormal within the universe. He needs to be that top dog, and he needs to have that kind of power to be that guy. You know.
I think
So
Sean put it really well. He said Shadow Man's being set up to be someone who could keep up in a one-on-one fight with any member of Unity except maybe Ginger.
yeah,
And that's what he needs to be. That's what he should be. And
yeah,
hopefully that's where he's going. For me, I mean, this is exactly what we expect from Renato Gaitis in terms of art. So really, it's just that really realistic style that's, I don't know. I
very
still think
cool.
it's a little bit weird, but it's just really, really well done.
Yeah, like there was times in this book when I was looking at it, I was just like, it looks so weird looking at some of the bigger close up faces. Like
Yeah,
his style is really cool. You know, I'd like to learn a little bit more about like what he's doing. I love how it looks though. I think it works though. You know, and the one thing I would criticize about like art like that sometimes is that it's almost not comic booky. You know, I feel like
sure.
just to kind of get off this, just as an example, I feel like that style of art would have been like present in like the '90s Vertigo books that DC puts out. You'd see like very
Mm.
like photorealistic art, and sometimes you just be like, God, I just don't want that. You know, I want to see like something a little more exaggerated, a little bit, colored a little bit differently because it's not trying to look real. But I think now, like, just a little bit more refined of a taste, it works really well with Shadow Man, you know. And in fact, I just think Renato Gaitis, like everything I look at of his, I love. I just love the look of his work. So
Yeah. Oh,
beautiful
he's
work.
got a lot of really good stuff. But for me, I mean, I don't know where I come down on this issue. Probably, I want to say, I don't know, probably 4.25. I think it's really strong.
Man,
Um,
I'm like right there about a 4.5 actually. I really like this, you know. The only thing that really bummed me out about this is just like reading it and not reading through like the solicitations. This is just me, so this isn't even a knock on the storytelling. I just thought it would wrap up within this issue. So like to me, I was like, oh, I just want to know a little bit more. Um, but it's a great story, man. This is awesome. It's awesome to have a good Shadow Man book again. You know, even if it's going in a weird way to get us back to how Jack should be as Shadow Man. It's just an awesome book. I feel like a lot of
yeah,
thought you put into the character right now.
I think it's definitely been since Justin Jordan's run that I've enjoyed Shadow Man anywhere near this much. I
Yeah,
think that this is actually probably a bit better than Justin Jordan's run, which is saying a lot because I really like what Justin Jordan did with the book.
you know, and the thing is, like, that's one of those books where like I picked up the issues or my deluxe, and been like, oh, I'm gonna read through this again. And I'm just like, oh, I just don't want to. Like, I don't have it in me to like read it right now. I need to, but I mean, I know that like I think Justin Jordan's work was really good on the book. Like the issues he didn't do a whole lot. I think issue 10 is really good. I think issue 10 is awesome.
Yes.
Then after that, it's really disappointing, but it's been fun seeing Jack get to this point. And I know that we're gonna have a couple more issues where it's like, you know, him going through this like spiritual journey through the past of his spiritual ancestors and all that. But it's fun, man. Like it's not what I want, but I like what it is. I mean, that's kind of
Yeah.
weird, you know, because I think like sometimes when your expectations aren't met, you don't enjoy something. This is something where it's not what I want, but I love it, man. Like I'm having a lot of fun reading this book. It's not quite as good as Ninja K, but it's really damn good, man.
Yeah. Yeah, to me, this is like Ninja K and Shadow Man are the top of the heap for what Valiant is publishing right now. And I think they've got some really good books. Quantum and Woody is really good right now. Um, I'm excited to see what's coming up with some of the other books. Like Faith looks like it'll be interesting. I do think that with issue three, Harbinger Wars 2 picked up a lot. I've really been enjoying um, that. Not only did I really enjoy that issue, but it also increased my enjoyment of the previous two issues, which is really nice because I really like how it kind of came together. And yeah, so Valiant has a lot of good stuff, and Shadow Man is definitely up there at the top of the heap. Um,
I feel like I'm not going to go back on any of the Harbinger War issues until the series wraps up, just because I want to kind of, I have to read the newest issue whenever it comes out. So we have the issue 4, which I can't think comes out next week. The aftermath will
Hmm.
come out like in another month. So for me, it's just like I'll wait. I got another month or so really until I have everything in front of me, and then I'll give it like another reread. I still feel though like there'll be a little bit of disappointment though, maybe not even a little bit. I mean, there'll be some disappointment just because of the fact that I love what like Eric Heiser was setting up in his part of the run, and I feel like all that stuff with those secret weapons kids, like we've seen nothing with them, really in this entire story. But um, that said, it's fun. It's like goofy fun, like a bit, like seeing like Bloodshot grow wings
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Like if I thought about it, I'd be like, oh, it's not that great. But like seeing it on paper executed, I think it's fun. Like I'm letting my expectations lower a little bit just to kind of enjoy something, because it's
Yeah.
not that bad. I mean, like to me, it's a pretty like fun story. It's still better than like a lot of the books I would read from Marvel or DC right now.
Yeah, I'm having fun with it, especially like I said, that last issue. But yeah, like you said, Harbinger Wars 2 number 4 is going to come out next week, as well as Exo Man War number 18. That's going to wrap up this kind of in the past storyline, and we're going to get with number 19 next month, we'll get Exo Man War in the future, dealing with the aftermath of Harbinger Wars 2 and also dealing with the Brothers of the Bomb. So that'll be really interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
very excited for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Cool.
All right.
Well, I want to once again thank Elliot Ray Hall. I have been saying his name wrong the whole time, so that's cool.
I
Um,
think we both have.
but I'm very happy he was willing to come on and hang out with us and chat about Quantum and Woody and his other work. Hopefully, people will go check out his other books. Yeah,
Definitely. If you,
Lunch Special is new and is really good, and I
I would
think
say,
that
oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think Return to Whisper is also a good book. I think only a couple of issues have come out so far. I know I only got to the first one. I got a ridiculous
I I
read
never
pile.
saw the second issue anywhere. But I read the first issue. I liked it. I would say if you're a Valiant fan who does check out like if you're gonna follow like someone else's work, definitely get like Hot Lunch Special. I loved it. It was great. It seemed like a lot of people were talking about it. I haven't heard as many people talking about Return to Whisper. I like that one too, but I haven't seen any more of the issues. I thought it was already wrapped up, and I just had missed the whole series. But yeah, his work's awesome. I think he's a guy on the rise. Like, or at least
Yeah.
hope. I hope he is. Because I do
Well, he
really
said that
work.
he's got some things in the works he isn't able to talk about yet, but it sounded like he's got some exciting things coming up. And I know when I had talked to him before for Get Valiant, and we talked about Bloodshot's Day Off, he was saying, I've got some things coming up that are exciting, and those things turned out to be Return to Whisper and Ninjak versus the Valiant Universe, because that hadn't been announced yet at that time that he was going to do the comic version. But but yeah, he told us then that he had cool things coming up, and I really liked his comic for Ninjak Versus, and Return to Whisper has started out really well. Now he's doing Hot Lunch Special, like we said, for Aftershock, and he says he's got more coming up, and I really hope that things pan out and we see some more work from him, whether it's Valiant or not.
Yeah, same here.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. Thanks again, everybody, for listening and watching and hanging out with us. Thanks to Sean, who's been chatting with me this whole time, pretty much. Jason Falter hanging out, Anthony Port, um, and William Pace. So thanks, everybody, for hanging out in the live
Wow,
chat.
yeah.
And hopefully, you guys will hang out with us next week as well when we talk EXO and the last issue of the main portion of Harbinger Wars 2. So thanks, everybody. I guess we'll do our sign off. I don't even know how to do this. I'm so like worried now about like how we start and end the episodes. You got me all like
Well,
paranoid.
sorry.
Yeah, it's all your fault, man.
We need like a third guy to start our episode with us and like hype it up. That's what we need, like a hype guy.
Hype
Hey,
man.
what's up? Hey, we got Eric over here. We got Josh. Like, just someone to be like fucking energetic because neither of us are energetic. That's what we
And then
need.
they'll just bail, and the rest of the episode will be like,
They,
so
they
I
come
read
back
that book.
on. They come back on when we need to like close this thing up, man.
That's the boom.
Yeah, boom. Anyway, signing off. I'm Josh Rathbun.
And I'm Eric Baumgart.
Have a fantastic day, man.
And get Bloodshot.
Yep. Cut.